Good morning. We'll call this meeting of the Bucks County Salary Board, August 7th, 2024 meeting to order. And there is no public comment, so we'll begin with approval of the minutes of the, let me do a correction before we do the minutes. In the last meeting, we approved a fiscal development officer, and at the time, the form said 8,500. It should have said 85,000. So need to make a motion, if there is one, to change that and make it the correct salary. Is there a motion to change that from the 8,500 that was on the form to 85,000?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So then we can do the minutes. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 meeting?
I believe we have one correction to the
I
minutes.
think were there two, right? I think there were
Two, on page 4,
Okay.
we're changing Loudermill to, our word made it 2 words, our program, but it's really should be 1 word. So with that correction, and I think we had a second correction, right, Dan, that you had requested?
Yeah, just to change the listing 501c3 to 501 paren C paren 3 paren.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to make those corrections?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the corrected minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So let's do the salary board items. We can start with the coroner's office. Is the coroner here? There she is. Good morning.
I'm here about a new position of deputy coroner. You know, I sent you like all the information of how we're a little short-staffed and stuff. And the beauty of this position is I will not need an increase in my budget because of the Randox machine. We're going to be doing less autopsies, and that should cover the salary and benefits for the new deputy. And then also I wanted, I guess my second item is to get a shift differential for the 3rd shift. We are a 24/7 operation, even though they did on-call for a long time. And the on-call becomes a problem because some people were working double shifts, getting a ton of overtime, but you know, at risk of having an accident and also being so exhausted. And I don't think that's worth it either. And I think that will be absorbed with the less overtime that they would actually be incurring. So the amount I was thinking was $3.50 an hour difference. So that's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions. I'm trying to be short and sweet. I was advised that outside.
So
Is there any questions for the coroner?
just in terms of the shift differential, I know you and I spoke. So you think you have people in your office who would be willing to do the
Oh, they
overnights?
are. They do it anyway. They do on-call for free. And
Okay.
that was one of the things when they first started there. I'm surprised that they stayed as long as they have because they're stuck, there waiting but not getting paid. But then if something happens, then they're working a double shift, and it's exhausting
Okay.
and not healthy.
All right. Okay. Thank you. That's all the question I had.
Actually, just just for clarification, with the shift differential, do you have room in the cap to absorb that? Or do you need to increase your cap?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Wait,
Maybe next time. No.
if there's no, would you like to make the motion for this?
Oh, I make the motion?
You can do that.
Okay, I make the motion to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
For number 1 and 2. Thank you. All in
Sorry.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go to the Board of Voter Registration. Ms. Humphrey is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have first item number 1 before you today is to raise the cap for the director of the Board of Elections. I think that this is important at this time going into a presidential. We've had a certain amount of turnover in that department, and we've interviewed a lot of folks over the past year, and it seems like it's a competitive market out there, and we need to raise this cap.
Are there any questions on this one?
I just have one comment. I've already spoken to you about this. I think the cap is high. I have a problem with the fact that this person will be making more money than their boss. And so those are my concerns. I think they're valid concerns. But I have faith that you will address that to the extent that you can.
Thank you.
On number 1, do you want to do 2 through 9?
Please, thank you. So this is a bump in range for unionized employees in the Board of Elections. They would be going from a 4 to a 5. We have a great shop steward in that department who did approach HR, and I believe there was a committee that reviewed this and made the determination that it was unanimous that this bump was warranted.
Any questions on these? Is there a motion to approve number 1 through 9?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission? Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had this whole speech planned out. I'm not sure if it's the best thing to do now, but I'm here this morning to request to add a senior housing planning position to our department. I believe the time is right, and I believe it would greatly benefit our work to have this level of expertise. Just as this administration sought to support sustainability initiatives and brought on a director of sustainability and an environmental planner, I believe the administration also supports our work around attainable housing. And I believe that to make a difference, we need this critical expertise in the planning sector around housing. For many years now, the Planning Commission has done a lot with a little. In 2008, our department had 36 full-time positions, which included 16 community planners. And over the last 14 years, we have lost 12 full-time positions. We are now down to 10 community planners. In addition to all of the Act 247 work that we do, the review work that we handle, we also service 21 municipalities with contract work. We are currently actively involved in 9 comprehensive plans with another soon to come on board, and we are currently updating 4 zoning ordinances for municipalities with another one soon to come on board. This consumes a lot of our time and efforts to get this work done, and we believe that housing attainability requires a very specific focus. We see the senior housing planner as a bridge between our department and Jeff's department, Housing and Community Development, and we see the planner as a champion whose primary focus will be to advance sound housing planning policy. Jeff Fields and I, along with Mike Rodig from our department, routinely get together. We discuss attainable housing, but with all the everyday responsibilities that we have, we simply need help to get this work done, and we think that the opportunity is there. I don't make the request lightly. I appreciate that it creates an additional expense to our budget. We have worked with Housing and Community Development and our county grant writer, but have not been able to find any grant funding that would help offset the cost of this position. We will, however, continue to look. So I'm asking you this morning to consider this request to help us advance the goals of the Bucks 2040 Vision Plan and making housing more attainable by allowing us to hire a senior housing planner.
Terrific. Thank you. Are there questions?
I just have one question. If I understand you correctly, so this is not budgeted, correct?
Correct.
And do you know how this is going to be paid for?
As of now, it'll have to come out of the general fund.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Come out of the general fund.
General fund, okay. But I'm assuming you have approval from the commissioners to do that, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Okay, all right, that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think obviously appreciate Mr. Stone going through so much of the operations, because a lot of people don't necessarily know what the Planning Commission does or have an appreciation for how integral it is to how so many of our communities in Bucks County function. This county and this nation are facing a housing crisis, a serious one. Their estimates are that we are about 4 million houses short, and those are houses that are the traditional, what you'd think of as starter homes. You know, for young families, talking about people who are professionals, who have college degrees. We're talking about nurses and teachers and police officers and small business owners, and there simply is no place for them to move. You know, we're working on some initiatives and hopefully work to work with our municipalities to try and see if there's a way that we can address some of the issues that are facing them. because they're having trouble finding police officers and first responders and teachers because there's no place to live in the areas where they're being hired, and they don't feel like driving an hour each way, going to work and back home again. So, we need to make a commitment, I think, in this county to address this, and I think having this position is a big step in that direction.
Thank you. And I think also, thinking back, before your time, I believe there was a lot bigger planning commission at one point. So I'm not surprised that we've kind of hit a point where we needed to return a staff member or two. Is there any other questions or a motion to approve?
I motion to approve number 10, adding a senior planner.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So main jail, sort of human resources next?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This action is to bring over the staffing and compliance coordinator position from the Department of Corrections to Human Resources. The position will continue to carry out HR functions for the EOC while reporting directly to HR to provide oversight and reduce workflow redundancies. To better align with the HR pay structure, we're also requesting to reduce the salary cap by approximately $12,000.
Any questions? Do you want to do all of the are you doing all the human resources or just this one?
This is the only one I have today.
I mean, you have, okay.
Yep.
Oh, it's human services, sorry, looked down wrong. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, then you can go, and we'll do human services next. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners, and Pam and Dan. I'm here to discuss 4 items. The first item is the adding of the position called the Co-Responder Training Coordinator. And thankfully, since 2020, the Co-Responder program has expanded to 24 police departments / municipalities. And so it's important that due to the ongoing expansion for the Co-Responder program and the need for the Co-Responder program, we request an additional supervisory position. This position will serve in a training coordination role and provide support for all training resources in the Co-Responder team. In addition to the essential duties that a co-responder usually does. Additionally, this position will oversee at least one co-responder and provide me some administrative support. And this position will be funded by Health Choices. And I think yes, this position will be funded by Health Choices. Any questions?
Questions on this position?
I have a couple. What is Health Choices? Maybe I don't understand enough about the program and the funding, but that was a big question of mine, was how is it going to be funded?
Yes. So that is through behavioral health.
It's the Magellan program that pays us to reimburse us for costs for anybody who has medical assistance or any of those key.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so it's mental, am I wrong or am I correct in maybe I'm simplifying too much, but is that fall under mental health? Is that,
Correct.
do I have that correct? Okay. Because my follow-up question is I understand that they'll be supervising at least one, right, other co-responder. And my understanding of the program is that the county, through its funding sources, pays for the first 2, and then we're going to ask the police departments to pick up.
Correct. So the raise this year is going to be by Health Choices, but moving forward, this raise and this person's salary will be covered by the police department, Falls Police Department, and they are in agreement that they
Right,
would like the raise and the continued being responsible for this person's salary.
I did see that. So this person's in Falls Township, so this
Yes.
person's getting a raise because presumably they're taking on additional functions, right?
Correct.
So this brings back to the question, because I know we have a co-responder in Middletown who is also a supervisor, right? Senior co-responder, right? Yeah.
Senior co-responder.
Okay. And at that salary board meeting, we were advised, the salary board was advised that Middletown was picking up that additional expenditure for the supervisory salary, right? Okay. Even though that person is supervising someone outside of Middletown?
Correct.
Okay. So if I understand this correctly, Falls Township is paying for this person's co-responder
Yes.
salary, right? Expenditures, right? But this person's going to be supervising someone outside of Falls Township.
So this person will be the co-responder for Falls Township and will also be supervising one person also in Lower Bucks and the training coordinator for the program.
And what is the training coordinator, like, what is the training?
So they will be helping with onboarding, any kind of trainings that the co-responders may need. This person will help facilitate, bring it, get trainers from outside to train the team, and this person will continue exploring the need and making sure that all the co-responders have the training that they need to improve their how they're supporting the community.
And what trainings do co-responders need?
Well,
I have an idea, I just don't know enough about I support the program. I do support the program. Maybe I should have said that at the outset. I just don't know enough about the program, and what I'm hearing from various outside sources don't seem to be what the program is supposed to be, or, so I'm just trying to gel with that, I guess is.
So when the program first started, we first thought that it was going to be serving maybe just, and not just, but mental health needs. But as the program continued growing, we saw that there was a need with so much more. And this is why the co-responders we say that it's human services needs, right? Because it could be mental health services, behavioral health services, drug and alcohol, housing, hoarding, anything you can think of, that's what a co-responder does to help its community.
But what's the training?
Oh, the training, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Yvonne, for sharing out a lot of this information. I wanted to address the training issue, so things like motivational interviewing, mental health first aid, crisis intervention skills, knowledge on serious mental health issues that impact hoarding disorders. There's a whole host of training, even that our police departments are requesting us to support them with. So we really need to dedicate additional resources to make sure that we're supporting individuals in roles as this program's develop. So again, I think even just 2 weeks ago, our co-responders attended an advanced CIT training course that was provided by Lenape Valley that provides CIT training for police departments across Bucks County. So we really want to make sure that we're properly equipping our staff with the resources when they're going out on these calls or supporting police officers.
Well, that makes sense to me. If I understand this correctly, they're social workers, right? So they have special training in social work, right? Am I correct? But they need additional training, right, to do this type of co-responder work. Are they trained in self-defense as well?
I think there's a component of that in some of the police onboarding. I don't exactly know about the self-defense training, but when they get onboarded at police departments, there's safety protocols that they go over with them.
Right, and I have the contract, like with the police department, the general contract, so I'm aware of that. I guess and I understand the concept of what and I also understand it's a relatively new program, so we're kind of learning as we go, right? To how best to utilize these services to affect some good, right, out there in the community. So my understanding is these co-responders go out with the police, right? Like they kind of ride along with the police or follow up after the police have secured a situation, obviously for safety reasons, for all involved. And then they follow up. They're located in the police station, right? And then they, the police, and they work 9 to 5, though. They don't work nights and weekends, right?
Majority of our co-responders work the day shift. Some will work evening hours as well.
Okay. And so one of my concerns is, what I'm hearing is that a lot of the co-responders are going out with our probation officers. Are you aware of that?
It's a team approach, so they will go out and they will work as part of the team. They go out with individuals from our Area Agency on Aging on
Right.
potential APS calls. They go out and follow up with CNY workers. Yeah, that should be part of their role, coordinating, service coordination with other entities that are involved in a person or in a family's life.
Can they go out alone, or do they have to be with a probation officer or a police officer?
They can go out alone for follow-ups. They'll sometimes go out, with a code enforcement officer or with a police officer, but they can go out on situations alone as well.
Okay, all right. And that's where I was looping back to the training and what's involved, and I'm assuming that there has to be additional training, but it's not, it's such a new program that I'm not sure many people in the county, myself included, really understand. I understand what it's supposed to be, but I'm hearing different things about the way it's actually being
I
done.
appreciate that question, and I just wanted to highlight, because one of the things that we recognize with this being a new program and with it being so effective and knowing that it's impacted 1,900 individuals so far since launching over the last 4 years, Bucks County is actually hosting a Human Services and Law Enforcement Symposium on November 19th. We have a great team of people who are part of that planning group, and it's really we're actually bringing in an individual from Washington State to help provide technical assistance. We're bringing in a speaker who's also consulted around co-responder programs from around the country, because we want to make sure that we're giving attention to this really important and critical program. So that's happening in the fall. Yvonne is a planning member. We have individuals from law enforcement on that planning team, and we just sent out the save the dates for it, and the registration will be going out in September. So we really want to make sure that we're dedicating additional resources and energy into this important program, because I think as long as I'm here, I think it's something that's really important and should continue to be available for individuals and families in Bucks County. So, but I appreciate the questions, because it is new, and I think if we need to do a better job of communicating out its effectiveness, we'll continue to do that.
Right, thank you. And then just circling back to this particular position, so Health Choices will be picking, because the county's already entered into a contract with Falls Township for this particular co-responder, right? But Health Choices is going to pick up the additional, because we're paying her more because she's supervisor, or no?
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Since we're making the request to happen in the very near future, we recognize that we need to support that from a budgetary perspective. And so we do have flexibility with our Health Choices program. I think at the Human Services Division, we have over a $200 million budget, and there's some flexibility with the Health Choices funding that we can use at our discretion if it's supporting individuals with behavioral health needs.
Okay.
So that's why the request is, or that's why we're indicating it in this request, that we would use those funds to help us. But you're absolutely correct that this is the funding onus is on the police departments.
Right, okay.
This is mid-year, and we want to come to the table.
Sure. I do have some additional funding questions. I will defer to the chair, because Yvonne didn't bring up the other positions yet. So I didn't, but it may go to Rachel for my questions, but I'll defer to the chair as to how she wants to run the program.
You can do the next one if you'd like to. I would just like to clarify that just like lawyers and police officers, social workers have to have training, teachers, we have to get just like, I guess lawyers get CLEs, we have to get, social workers need CEUs, teachers need things, and obviously we want to keep everybody trained. They may need it for their license. It can be new techniques on handling things. It can be about new laws people need to learn about. It's about ethics often, and the police are always encountering new things. They get trained, and so will co-responders. So, okay, then you were going to do number 13, I guess? Are you on 13 next?
Okay.
She did.
And so the next request, I request to add the Human Services Resource Navigator A position and for the hub. And the additional Resource Navigator position is needed to address the growing challenges associated with the increases in homelessness, poverty, and mental health needs in the county. And the expansion of the hub is needed to maintain effective responses to increasing volumes of calls, while having the ability to increase awareness of future utilization of hub services, and to grow and accommodate the needs of the community. A fully staffed hub ensures long-term cost savings by helping individuals access social services more effectively. Immediate needs can be addressed more quickly, potentially preventing more severe and costly issues in the future. And the addition to this position will also expand and increase the hub's ability to meet with county residents currently incarcerated and soon to be released, so appropriate supports are in place to reduce recidivism. And so even though we do partner and have well-meaning partners that have staffing issues and related issues that leads to maybe not being able to follow up as quickly. So the additional resource navigator would be incredibly helpful to help a person that's experiencing possible eviction and homelessness and following up with their appointments and making sure that they have the transportation that they need to get to their appointments and dealing with mental health crisis and substance abuse issues. So this position will help ensure loop closure and provide no barrier access to those in need from dropping out of vital social services. And this position will be funded this year by ARPA funds that are not human services. And in the future, this position will be covered by the opioid settlement funds and the block grant.
Any questions on this position? Do you want to do the next one? You have 4 that you wanted to talk about, right? You're on 14 and 15?
Okay. So the next item, I would like to request an increase, the salary cap, to increase salary for the Senior Human Services Co-Responder position. And due to the ongoing growth and expansion of the Co-Responder program, we have evaluated the roles and the responsibilities in the position and requested an increase of the cap so that we're able to increase the salary. And there continues to be an ongoing demand and more referrals than anticipated after launching the program. And additionally, the police departments request assistance from co-responders in cases involving not only mental health services, but involving housing, homelessness, drug and alcohol, hoarding, and aging needs. So again, this position is covered by Middletown Township Police Department, but the increase or the raise that was increased for this year will be covered by Health Choices just this year. And moving forward, the police department will cover that increase, but Middletown Township has been responsible for the Senior Human Services Co-Responder salary.
Okay, any questions on the senior? And then do you want to do all the rest? That they're all the same, right? They're all changed?
Yes.
So 15 to 23.
Yes, the last
23 is a deletion.
item, I'm requesting that we increase the salary cap to be able to increase salaries for the human services co-responders. And just like the last item, we think it's important that the human services co-responders get this increase. So, because they have been dealing with so much, and for retention reasons, for morale reasons, and because they are facing so much in the community, it's important that we provide them with the salary that they deserve. And these increases will be covered by Health Choices this year. And moving forward, the police departments will cover the increase if they have taken on the financial responsibility of that co-responder. And the others will be covered by Collegium and opioid settlement funds.
Terrific. Questions? And
I have questions for all of them, but I'll wait
you
until the
want to add
end.
23? You're deleting something?
The deleting of actually, if the training coordinator position is approved, I would like to move forward to delete the co-responder position in Falls Township to become the co-responder training coordinator position.
Okay, questions?
Yes. Thank you. Moving back to the funding. And real quick, for the Human Resource Navigator, I believe you, for number 13, I believe you said it was paid for this year by ARPA or fiscal year 2025, and then by something, I didn't catch that.
This year by ARPA that are not human services ARPA funds.
Okay.
And in the future, it's going to be opioid settlement funds and the block grant.
Opioid settlement funds.
Yes.
Okay. So, and I do know that right now, I think we have at least 3 co-responders that are funded by the opioid settlement, possibly a 4th. I'm not sure what the 4th, what the Lower Make, do you know where the Lower Makefield co-responder, how that position's being paid, funded?
That is being funded by the opioid settlement funds.
Okay, so we have 4 currently co-responders that are being funded by the opioid settlement. My concern, well, let me just ask you, is that is that allowable? I mean, I know there's a process for the opioid settlement, it has to be approved, and obviously my concern is if we have over $500,000 annually tied up, probably more than $500,000 when you put everything else onto it, tied up in opioid settlement funds, if it's not approved by the committee, then what? In other words, and let me just put a caveat, and the reason why I'm questioning this, again, I support the program. You know, I do know that, you know, we all read in the Inquirer, Philadelphia Inquirer, that there was some money that was being held up. Philadelphia, they just denied a whole bunch of their requests because it wasn't opioid related. It was like a little tangential perhaps. And so what I'm hearing, this position, it's not just opioid or drug related, it's mental health, it's homelessness, it's, a whole behavioral health. Society's dealing with a lot right now. And so my concern is, do you know if this will get approved, or has it gotten approved? Perhaps you can answer that.
Absolutely, no, I appreciate the question. So we recently learned, along with all the other counties in the state, in terms of what was approved, non-compliant, and what was disapproved from the Opioid Settlement Trust. And so, yes, the co-responder program is something that is allowable and has been approved, which is great news. And also, internally here in Bucks County, we have an opioid advisory committee, which Commissioner Harvey appointed a couple years ago, and that committee vets requests that come up through it. And so the co-responder program was approved internally, and then it was approved at the trust, which Commissioner DiGirolamo sits on as well. And so we're going to keep this as an item for requesting approval in the future. I'd also like to highlight that counties were recently informed about the Wave 2 settlements that are coming through for the opioid settlement. So while we got the $45 million, we learned about that several years ago. We've just learned that there's another $17 million that's coming our way. So again, we need to be good stewards of these funds, and but I will absolutely continue to put forth the request for the co-responder program on to be considered by the opioid settlement.
Okay, and because I also know that Congressman Fitzpatrick put through a rather large request. It's not guaranteed yet. Hopefully, knock on wood, that will come through. You know, I think procedurally it's in a good spot, which will, you know, basically almost, not quite fully, but almost fund the program for a year as it stands now. Perhaps not with the raises that are looking to go through today, but it's only for 1 year.
That's correct. We're aware, and I know that Congress won't be voting on that budget until September 16th, but that we did receive some promising news that the co-responder program would be funded for $1 million in federal fiscal year 25. So we are, I mean, ecstatic about that. We hope that that moves forward, and that will absolutely support the program and growth as well of the program.
But if that's funding for a year, I thought that would just give us reprieve for, because we're hiring a lot,
It's for 1
so.
year, and it's so for some of the police departments. So for example, the Upper Bucks team that's comprised of 9 police departments, they're going to be rotating off, and they're going to need funding. And so those police chiefs then, instead of putting the request in through their municipality budget, this funding will help supplement them for that year. And then again, the onus will fall back to the police departments moving forward, because they've received the 2-year funding from Bucks County.
But so are you, so maybe I misunderstood. It seems like we're piecemealing the funding every year. And so I thought the opioid settlement would cover the co-responders. So I guess I assumed moving forward, because that's a 10, 17-year program, right?
But we're only with the county for 2 years. So then they go over to the townships, and or the police departments pay for it.
Right.
So they could apply in some way if they wanted. I'm not sure how that would work, but.
I understand that. My concern, and again, I support this program, I think. The problem is municipalities, so far only 3 of the larger police departments have picked it up. My understanding is the smaller municipalities don't have the budget. They can't increase the taxes.
It's not accurate.
That's not accurate at all.
Well, maybe we're hearing 2 different things then.
Yeah, so
Sure.
we're very fortunate that all the municipalities who have cycled off, that they have picked it up. Even Bristol Borough and Tullytown, some of the smallest municipalities in Bucks County, have assumed those costs. So we're coming up, when we come up on cycles to phase out the funding from Bucks County, we always have conversations with the departments about what this is going to mean. We did that months ago with the Upper Bucks team, because there were concerns about how this will be funded. But right now, we've not had any department come and say that they're not going to move this forward. And I think, again, I'm incredibly thankful for all the police chiefs that have taken this on. I was just at one of the national night outs last night. There is ongoing support for it. And I think that they want to find the funding for it. And again, that's why they were a part of the ask to Congressman Fitzpatrick's office. But again, I think the county, knowing that we're in the position with these opioid settlement funds, that absolutely, if there's ways that we can support in the future, we want to come to the table to talk about this, because this initiative is good and healthy for families and individuals in this county. So we want to keep doing this work.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve? This would be items 12 through 23.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And number 24, we don't have to do that one.
24.
So, any other matters to come before the board today? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.